So I'm noticing a little trend there. Maybe we need to change, maybe I need to like serve Jell-O shots or pudding shots to try to get this younger crowd to come out here or something, I don't know. All right, so our 50-year class, Kevin Wells from 1967.
Good evening to y'all, and congratulations to the class of 2017.
Louder. It's a rough crowd.
It's a rough crowd. Is that better? It's fuzzy yet, no. In keeping with tradition, I want to address tonight's remarks to the newly graduated class. The rest of you may feel free to listen in. I believe it's all covered in the price of admission. In this case, these remarks will be not just from me, but for everyone in the class of 67 who decided to contribute. So a few months back, I started sending emails to all of our classmates that we had addresses for. And the response was pretty good. I received about 100 individual pieces of advice. But what I got wasn't quite what I had expected. When I first sent out the request, I'd expected that most of the responses would include words to the effect that if I knew then what I know now, these are the mistakes I would have avoided, and this is how I would have avoided them. Then I was just going to read that list of do's and don'ts to you tonight. All those pearls of wisdom taken from the oysters of time. And you would have written them all down, of course, taken them home, memorized them, live your lives accordingly. 25 years from now, we would have come back to find you'd all become Nobel laureates. But that was not the kind of response that I got. Most of the responses I received included phrases like, don't look back, look forward. Concentrate on your opportunities instead of your mistakes. Think of the glass as half full. Don't waste time on regrets. Not that you won't have regrets, you're human, you're going to make a lot of mistakes, but just learn from them and go on. And I was pretty impressed that most of the advice was more complex than the kind of stuff that will fit on the bumper sticker. Stuff like reach for the stars, dream big, be your own person, dance like nobody's watching. Not that there's anything wrong with thrashing around in your underwear occasionally. Just a word of caution, if the next phase of your life will take you to a place where you're likely to share living quarters, like institution of higher learning, marriage, military, you might want to exercise some level of moderation in your dance routine. Because people generally will be watching and usually making some kind of judgment regarding your emotional stability. The point is, the more I read, the more apparent it became that one person can't just give wisdom to another. A person can give knowledge to another person, but the difference is that knowledge is something you acquire through your intellect, while wisdom is something you assimilate through your senses. You have to touch it and taste it. Sometimes it's bitter, sometimes it's sweet. But if the sensation is strong enough to feel, then you'll remember it in a way that's exclusively yours. So if we can't actually give you wisdom, what we'd like to give you is the knowledge that what seems to make people happiest is achieving balance in their lives. And generally, I'd say that all of our pearls of wisdom fit into one of two very broad categories. You might label one achievement or confidence, since those are two phases of the same cycle. One inevitably leads to the other. You achieve something that gives you confidence, and then you accomplish even more. The other category you might call humility, which includes not only understanding your own talents and limitations, but also the ability to occasionally put the interests of others ahead of your own. So our advice is to try to achieve a balance of those two categories. The good news is that if you're paying attention, a lot of life's experiences will provide you with some of each simultaneously. It's like when you're first learning to do electrical work and you're wiring a switch, and inevitably you get shocked, and your first thought is, well, that was distinctly unpleasant. I'd rather not do that again. And your second thought is, but it didn't kill me. And it's that second thought that gives you the confidence to pick up your melted screwdriver and try again. And that's really the essence of the human spirit. It's what separates us from laboratory animals. You give a lab rat that kind of a shock, he'll never know near a light switch again. But you give that same shock to a human, it's just a challenge. He'll say, I got a whole drawer full of screwdrivers. So you get lessons in both the humility of pain and embarrassment if your wife happens to be watching, and the confidence of knowing that you must be immortal. And I've been calling this trait confidence, but there are other names. My wife calls it stubbornness. I prefer the term perseverance. Now, for those of you taking notes, you probably right now have a nearly blank page with the title, Stuff I Need to Learn. And a vertical line down the middle forming two columns, one labeled achievement/confidence and the other labeled humility. The one labeled achievement we're going to close out pretty quickly because it's only going to have 2 words in it. 2 words are not very original or profound or poetic, and they're probably not something you're eager to hear. But of all the pearls of wisdom I was given, the pearl that occurred with most frequency was the one with just these 2 words: work hard. Now the advantage to that, in my opinion, is that working hard is what comes naturally to human beings. Although many will say, I beg to differ. I have spent many happy hours during which I exerted no greater effort than reaching for the remote. I would argue this is the learned behavior, and that if you want to observe natural behavior, just watch a baby that's not sleeping. Because those guys do nothing but work. Kicking, hollering, thrashing around, putting stuff in their mouths, throwing crap on the floor. Non-stop until they're exhausted, and then they take a nap and start all over again. Think how smart you'd be if you kept learning at the same rate the baby does. So the next time you feel a burst of energy, instead of prancing around in your underwear, try working as hard as a 1-year-old. Now the humility column is not quite so easy. Nothing about humility comes naturally to a human being. Here again, for evidence, just look at a baby. No one on earth is more selfish than a newborn baby. And I don't mean to be critical of babies. It's just a matter of self-preservation. If a baby didn't cry when it was hungry or cold, it might not survive. But gradually, your parents, your teachers, your siblings, the guy driving behind you, will take every opportunity to deliver one point that it's not all about you. This is a lesson you can count on someone being eager to teach you on a daily basis. The only reason I repeat it yet again is that, believe it or not, there are people even our age who still haven't got the message. Even though it's an indisputable fact. It's just physics. The universe can't be revolving around you and the guy driving behind you at the same time. Actually, the universe isn't revolving around anything. It's expanding in all directions, so we're really still just in the process of blowing up. Totally.